All right, so we're going to talk about the average value of a function. So your average value of a function, let's just get this straight so you can see it better. There are values on this graph. So here there's a value, a y value that corresponds to this point. There's a y value that corresponds to this point, a value that corresponds to this point, and so on. So our average value of our graph says that when we find the average value of all of my f of x's or all of my f of c's, when I make a rectangle out of that in the same interval, this rectangle here is equal to, area is equal to the area of the entire region under the curve. So let's just see that. The red rectangle, the area of that is equal to the area under the curve from A to B. All right, so there is a formula we can use for the average value. So, of course, we're talking about a function. It's smooth and continuous on a closed interval from A to B. To find the average value of f, we have this formula 1 over b minus a, and then the integral from a to b of f of x dx. All right, so let's use this on an example. All right, so we can find the average value of f of x. And f of x is 3x squared minus 2x on the interval from 1 to 4, using our definition of average value for the function. So first thing we need to do is we need to integrate from a to b, and we have a to b here because this is a here and this is b. So I have to integrate f of x, and then I have to evaluate it find the definite integral from a to b. All right, so integrating from a to b of 3x squared minus 2x dx. All right, so we add 1 to the exponent and we divide by it. So we got 3x to the third over 3. I like when that happens because I don't get fractions then. Oh, nice. And then 2x squared over 2. Again, nice. Those are going to cross off from 1 to 4. All right, so to make this a little bit cleaner, I have x to the third minus x squared from 1 to 4. All right, so now I plug in the top number, and then I subtract, and I plug in the bottom number. All right, so plugging in the top number, I have 4 to the third minus 4 squared minus 1 to the third minus 1 squared. All right, so now when I evaluate 4 to the third minus 4 squared, I have 48 minus, this is 0. So my integral, my definite integral from 1 to 4 is 48. Okay, so now if I want my average value, my average f of x value, I'm going to plug into this formula here. So let's take this guy out. Remember that was 48. And my interval is 1 to 4. All right, so we have 1 over 4 minus 1 times the definite integral, which we got 48 for from before. So we have 1 over 3 times 48. So my average value is 16. All right, so let's look at what that means graphically. Okay, so graphically what we have here is we have a piece of a parabola. If you were to graph f of x is equal to 3x squared minus 2x. So we have a piece of a parabola here. And if I look at my average value, which is 16, so 16 is just about here, this point, the rectangle that is formed with the average value. So here's the average value, that's the height. from the beginning of the interval, to the end of the interval. This red rectangle here is equal to the area under the curve. So if I look at this curve right here, and if I took the area under the curve over here, I have the same answer. So let's think about that. That makes sense, right? Because remember, the height of the red rectangle is 16. And the base of the red rectangle is 1, 2, 3. So the area of the red rectangle is 16 times 3, which is 48. And remember, when we did our definite integral, that's exactly what we got as an answer. Okay, so I assigned you 2 questions to try for homework, but I just want to sort of give you a hint on 42, because 42 is a little more challenging. So 42 looks like this. F of x is equal to 4 times x squared plus 1 over x squared. Okay, now when you do this question, it's going to look a little scary, but remember, you can always rewrite these functions to try to make it easier to work with. So I can pull in this 4 first. So I would get 4x squared plus 4 if I were to distribute the 4 in. And then they're both over x squared. So I can divide them both by x squared. So f of x is equal to 4x squared divided by x squared is just 4. And then 4 divided by x squared is 4 over x squared. Now remember that anytime you end up having an x in the denominator, you can always rewrite by pulling it up with a negative exponent. So I can rewrite this 4 over x squared as 4x to the negative 2. So just rewriting a little bit makes it so much more manageable. So now you can easily integrate this using the interval that was given.